I trust what I have, and I trust the Bitcoin hurdle rate. I'm not going to try and beat it. Like I can go to sleep at night and feel comfortable knowing like this is the rate I'm trying to achieve. This is the like societal purpose of why my money is going here, and I feel comfortable. I think inflation affects the class system the most, and the people that dictate the inflation policy are unelected bureaucrats. So which is even tougher because we don't have a direct say on that. There's just a lot of people out there, and they don't understand the money in their bank. Either they just hold it and they're getting 0.01% interest, or they go, I heard from my boomer parents or whatever that, no offense to boomers, but oh, I need to get a certificate deposit or I need to get a high yield savings account. Yeah, it's nice to meet you too, Vince. I'm happy to be here. I saw you were starting up the podcast and you got the episodes going, so it's been exciting to like listen to them and finally be part of it.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate it. You're gonna be the first one on the new name, the Bitcoin broadcast.
No, I like it. I think it's got good alliteration. I think that was the goal of it, and it sounds like sounds like it rolls off the tongue well. So I'm a fan of it.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, my wife and I were just sitting there on the couch, just like trying to figure out a new name for it, and that's what we came up with. So
No, it's cool. It's cool. But I'm coming with a lot of ammunition for this episode, trying to make it pretty lit for the first Bitcoin broadcast episode.
how'd you get into Bitcoin?
Yeah, that's the number one question, huh? That one, and then how many do you own? Which I don't own any because it all in the boat accident. You know, we all lost it there.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So I would say how I got into it is it's everybody has their own journey, and it's pretty exciting for me, at least mine. I got into it, I would say like 2016, 2017. I was still in high school then, at the tail end of high school, but the way that I discovered it was I needed a way to send payments, and I was just like looking around, and I thought this was like the only way I could send payments, I would say like anonymously or have that sort of that power where I could send payments and it's just me and someone else, and there's no one else looking into my transactions. And that power for me, I channeled it into online gambling. So that was the main way. I was like part of the gamblers generation. You know, some people they say the class of 2021 is all the retailers, the class of 2017 is all the online gamblers. So I was a big poker player, and I would like buy Bitcoin. I remember I heard in your podcast recently you were only buying like $50 amounts back then, or not back then, but just like I was buying little amounts, but it was just poker money, and then I would run it up, and then I would send it from the online casino to myself, and I would always be like, why is my poker winnings going up and down in value? Like the price of a coin was like 2,000 then maybe or 1,000. I'd be like, oh man, like my poker money that I just won, it just went down in value. I'm mad. I didn't understand anything of like what Bitcoin actually solves in society or like as an investment then. It was just pure poker money. And so then eventually I stopped playing with it because I was that's why my profile picture is the McDonald's guy, because I was making money at McDonald's as like a crypto bro, and then channeling that into buying Bitcoin for online gambling back then. But eventually I got kind of sick of it. I was done with poker, so then I just stopped using Bitcoin. And then 2021 came around and I started working full time and I had some money. So then I started join in on the altcoin like movement. Then I felt like COVID had a huge altcoin just boom, and like every coin out there was Polkadot, AVAX, Solana. They're still out there.
Yeah.
but I was just YOLOing into those 'cause I was like, oh my gosh, these are going up, these are going up, this is crazy. I was the number go up guy back then. I wasn't as Maxi. And then eventually I was the exit liquidity when all the FTX drama and everything went down, and Solana went down to like, is it $8 a coin or something, and was trading at like 200. And I was like, all right, I am done with crypto. I'm done with everything. This is not for me. I'm also an accountant, my day-to-day job, so I'm a CPA, but none of this is financial advice. It's just two guys talking. But I took a full loss on my I wrote down on the investments the $3,000 loss in 2022, 2021. So I took a break from it, I would say. And then 2023, I saw it come back, and I felt like that's where I got the Bitcoin tattoo right there too. And I have Japanese letters going down into it. It means fall down 7 times, stand up 8. So I thought to myself, like, oh, Bitcoin was like 30,000. And I was walking around downtown LA, and I texted my friend. I was like, I think I need to get a Bitcoin chain. And he's like, why don't you just get a tattoo of it? So I was like, you know what? I probably should, because then I won't sell it. And so then I got the tattoo of it when I was at 30,000, and I followed on Sometimes Stand Up 8. I knew after we crashed from the 2021 or the 69,000 high, it was like in that cycle, I knew we'd go back to all-time highs again. So I just started YOLOing all my money into it then and got the tattoo, and I went down the rabbit hole. And then from that point till now, I just started educating myself. And you know that famous Michael Saylor quote where he's like, oh, if you spend, say you do 2,000 a year of hours times 40 years of your lifetime, that's just a rough general estimate of 80,000. You might as well, so 80,000 hours you've worked, you might as well spend 100 hours learning how to keep your money. And that's when I went down the rabbit hole, and all of a sudden I just got like anti-fiat, and now I'm at the point where I don't have any dollars in any bank accounts. Anytime I get dollars, I buy Bitcoin. I hold it, I hold it, I hold it. And then at the very last second, when I do need to buy things, I buy everything on credit. I'm always increasing my credit limits. And then at the very last second, I just sell my stack and then pay it off. And then I just keep going with that philosophy. So I'm just a sats guy, not a fiat guy anymore. That was a pretty long-winded answer, but
No,
that's my journey to this point.
no, I love it. No, it's funny because so many people, a lot of the younger generation, they usually get orange pilled somehow through either complete degen or Michael Saylor. And it's like you touched both of those. Oh, yeah, I was just gambling. And then all of a sudden, my investment, now it's worth double. Now it's fallen 50%. What the hell am I even gambling with? You're gambling with one of the hardest monies on earth, and you don't even realize it. It's hilarious.
You don't realize that it's a fixed supply. That was the main thing in my mind. Once it clicked of like, this is a fixed supply, and you get this rush of demand going into it. It's like basic economics. I thought back from my econ classes in college. It's only going to go up, but that's not why I put my money in and all my energy into it. My energy I put into it is because I'm trying to preserve the hours that I've worked for. Because like I saw this stat or some meme online, and it's like if the Federal Reserve can print like a huge percent of what's already in circulation by clicking a button on the screen, then that just debases all your hours of work that you've worked your entire life for. And they're basically saying your work it's worth less, and you're just not able to hold on to that time and energy you put out there. And Bitcoin is the only way, at least in society today, that we can preserve our hours worked. And then that will help us be able to purchase things, at least stay ahead of inflation, because that's what's really orange pilling a lot of, at least Gen Zers, I feel like now, is because we're feeling inflation. It's like, how do we fight this? We need to put our money in something that it will rise, and it won't just keep debasing away like the Federal Reserve does to our currency.
Yeah, no, I mean, because growing up, I'm only 34. And so my entire childhood getting into adulthood, I mean, we had 2008 financial crisis, and that's right when I was getting into college. And so, dude, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't care. You know, I was just worried about where I was going to drink that weekend. Like, no one gives a shit. And then 2% inflation, that's been happening my whole life. You know, you're conditioned, you're taught that is
That's normal.
yeah, exactly. It's the norm. It's the standard. And so
That's the fiat standard. Like, you're born into that. You have to accept that.
yeah. So do you think that like the Gen Z is, because we're experiencing obviously way higher than what they said in like the 2020, 2021 era, when, you know, they said it was 9%. We all know that was bullshit. Do you think that the younger generations are like realizing that more and more now?
So I would say some are getting orange pilled, but I think it takes time. That's what I was thinking in the car ride earlier today. I was like, you don't wake up tomorrow and your Bitcoin investment is $1 million, or you don't wake up tomorrow and your sailor like orange pilled like crazy. I think it takes time, but people are waking up because the prices in this economy are just catching up to them, and they're trying to figure out solutions on how do I survive? Because most people are probably losing money, I would say, year over year with their raises compared to what the actual inflation number is. And then it felt like to me those COVID numbers, that's when I remember in your podcast, it sounded like that woke you up a little bit. That woke you up like that period and in your past podcasts. And for me, that woke me up too, because I would hear on the screen on TV, they get up and they say a COVID number. And then all of a sudden that dictates whatever they do with their policy of, is this gym open or not? And then for here, it's like, what's this inflation number? All right, well, we're going to make the economy just tighter, and you guys aren't going to have as much money floating around, and you're going to feel the pain from it because we don't want this to go too high. So it's like Which number are you guys trying to get for your outcome? And like, how is this outcome affecting the average American?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, because this is the first period in my life where I've really experienced it. It truly affects you. I mean, I've said this before too, but once you, I mean, my wife and I both made around 40 to 50K a year. And, you know, so we were making anywhere from 80 to 100 grand combined at one point in our life. And we felt great. We felt like we were doing really well. And now my wife makes more than 100K just on her own. And, you know, at some points in our life, like when we moved and I didn't have a job, it's like, dude, like bills are hard to pay all of a sudden. And you go to the grocery store, it's triple. You go to, you know, go wherever, and everything is just chipping away at everything that you earn. And I think that's great that you were like, yeah, okay, if I want to preserve my energy by, you know, storing my money in something that is actually worth it. Is that what turned you into like your Bitcoin Maxi? You got to back up your name here, the BTC Maxi.
The Maxi was $0. When you mentioned about the Sailor orange pilling too, I had a moment, I would say last year, a little bit, maybe a year and a half ago, where I just watched all his like doc or his lectures and everything, and God Bless Bitcoin and all the documentaries, and I just like I just got crazy, and I remember like thinking to myself like, oh, am I the only one thinking this way, or are there other people that think this way too? And it felt really cool being able to go online, and you were the very first person that was like one of my real followers, or like people that I was following, because I remember you were tweeting out, and I was like, this guy's talking like my same language,
Nice.
and and then I was like, how do I carve my lane, or what am I? And I just kept thinking about like, what am I in the Bitcoin space? And I just have such I despise altcoins, and I despise Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve just because of, well, either I did it to myself on altcoins. I think a lot of people can trade those for profit and funnel those into Bitcoin, and you're a smart man, but I can't do that. I don't have that type of attention. But I would just say the combination of the Federal Reserve, my ideologies on how they're running society, and the $0 in my bank account, and just putting every dollar I have into Bitcoin at this point is what makes me the maxi, or like the stereotypical maxi. I know there's a lot out there. There's a lot of Bitcoin maximalists out there. I saw Joel Pottleman. I think he might have created a store or something online that's like Pottleman's for the Bitcoin maxi. So I just want to be that like fictional character in people's minds of like, who is the guy that's taking it to the extreme on this? Because I do think there's riches in the niches, and a famous quote, or at least I heard people say online, this is not financial advice, but I think diversification preserves wealth, but concentration builds wealth. So if you want to really have like gains like we've had, I'm sure you've had what I've experienced, you want to put all your eggs in one basket, but you want to watch that basket extremely closely. And if you watch that extremely closely, I'm watching mine like every day. I talk about Bitcoin. I watch it. And if any of those like Satoshi wallet or Satoshi wallets with the million coins, I think it's spread out. If those start moving, then I'll start paying attention. Be like, all right, this has been a little Ponzi, but every other coin aside from Bitcoin has a CEO. They have an organization that are running it and dictating the policy. And this is a decentralized network. And with a decentralized network, that's when you can have true fairness. And some people might not say, oh, it's not fair because I didn't buy it early. Everybody gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. And every time you stare at it, it feels expensive. But then you look down in the past at your sell orders and you're like, why did I sell? Like I have so many sell orders at specific prices, and I'm like, it just keeps going up, even though that's not why my sole reason for investing in it.
Yeah, yeah. I love the Bitcoin Maxi movement. I mean, because that's like there's pros and cons to it. So this is almost how I think about it. The Bitcoin Maxi movement is interesting because it's like it's very in your face. It's very for newcomers. It's almost
Very polarizing,
offensive to people because they're like, "Why the fuck would you hold dollars, you bitch?" And then other people are like,
it's down 10% year to date though, US dollar. Sorry, go ahead.
"No, no, it's true. No, no, the Bitcoin Maxi stance is great. Overall, I think it's a good movement, but I mean, that's just the way it is."
It does probably catch people off guard though. I see what you're saying on the other perspective of, they're like, oh, who are these extremists, or who are these crazy guys telling on me? But on the other side, there's the XRP. The XRP guys, those might be my number one enemy. Not enemy, but those guys, like they love to just load up the comment sections everywhere saying buy, buy, buy. This is the army and stuff. And they don't realize like the XRP or the Cardano Foundation, or I might not be saying the exact facts right, but they only just sell the coins. Like they're just in it to make a profit. Like I think Satoshi or whoever group did this. They did this to make society better and make life, make war unaffordable. You know, that's like saying make a better world. So I just have different views on that, like on what these altcoins are trying to survive. And I saw Ethereum hit an all-time high today, or was close. Did you see that? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh, yeah, I have a friend that's pretty big into Ethereum, so I'm in a group chat with like some buddies. They're all crypto bros. They won't listen to me about, I tell them I don't even remember how many Ethereum he has, but it's like quite a few. And he's like, "Oh man, I can't wait. Once it hits 5K, once it hits 10K, I'm gonna sell this much." And I'm like, "Are you gonna put it into Bitcoin?" He's like, "No, I'm gonna like pay off my house or something." And I'm like, I mean, yeah, you do what you want, but it is what it is. I don't pay attention to the altcoins that much. I usually just shit post about them.
Really, I try to not stare at them because I saw ETH go down low this year and I saw all these like profit opportunities, but I'm like, I don't want to take out what I already have in Bitcoin because I'm scared of trying to trade that equity what I have. And then all of a sudden I lose my percent or number of coins that I have, the proportion that I'm comfortable with at the moment that I'm trying to build up. Because, some people have a fire goal. I'm inventing the concept of the coin goal. So everybody's like, oh, I need to get to my or it's like retire early. I forget what the F or financial independence, retire early fire. Like I need to get to 2 million or 1 million, and then I can retire and live off 4% for the rest of my year. Like I'm not trying to do that life. I want to get to a specific coin number goal. I know a lot of people have the means of like, oh, 21 coins or 6 point something coins or whatever. I have a personal coin, and once I get to that, then I'm gonna chill out. But until then, I'm in stack mode. I'm sure you are too in stack mode. I see you do the fun posts. You try to get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or the 1, 1, 1.
No, I mean, I'm never going to stop stacking. It's just, I mean, once you have the conviction and you're like, you go down that rabbit hole hard enough, fast enough, you don't want to hold anything else. I mean, even if you want to trade something else to get more cash, to buy more Bitcoin, sure, I don't care what you do with your money. That's a free market. Do what you want. I'll make fun of you, because 99% of the time, I mean, you're going to lose. Most people lose in comparison to Bitcoin. There's like a couple things that have gone up more than Bitcoin in the past 10 years. Even if you took MSTR, people are buying that. Okay, that went up 1,000 or 1,300% or something in the past 5 years. So since COVID, since they started buying Bitcoin, and people bought MSTR, they gained more money than Bitcoin. They sell their MSTR and then they buy more Bitcoin than they would have been able to. I can't fault you for that. I used to do that. That's perfectly
That's
fine.
that's the high IQ play. It's just you got to be very smart.
Yeah, I mean, most people lose at that. And so, of course, I'm not going to sit there and be like, hey, man, like, let's gamble. It's altcoin season. Let's see what's the low cap. And no, fuck that. Put your money into the asset that you believe in. And like you said, stacking to get to a goal is a great idea. I usually set my goals, let's say it's 0.001. I want to get that in the next 3 months. Okay, let's hit that. And then I set another goal. And then I'm never going to be done stacking because why would I? What else are you going to buy? What would you rather own? So that's where I'm at.
No, I think that's a good way to look at it, and I think even companies they can have this same view with regards to their balance sheet. Like I'm a big financial accounting guy, and I look at income statements and balance sheets all the time. And a lot of companies have so much just fiat just sitting on their balance sheet, and maybe they sometimes let me get a treasury bill or some sort of like fixed rate that's really low that we all know is probably lower than what inflation is. Instead, they can just keep adding like all these treasury companies that are doing that. I think they're ahead of the time. It could be scary a house of cards scenario if some of them are over leveraged, so they do need to make sure do their due diligence before. But I think individuals and people should have that same mentality, and that's why I saw MicroStrategy when it was at like $10 billion market cap, which I'm sure a lot of people saw it earlier than that, but it went up to 100 and maybe a little higher than 100 and below 100. And I thought to myself, like, I could go all in on that too, because that's basically it's buying Bitcoin. And I'm buying Bitcoin, but I'd rather just copy their business model personally myself and buy the Bitcoin myself, as opposed to depending on like I love Saylor and he orange pilled me, but I just don't trust Verify. I don't trust I don't trust any of these people, honestly. Like I don't trust any of them, and like they could say they have the best interest, but I trust what I have, and I trust the Bitcoin hurdle rate. I'm not going to try and beat it. Like I can go to sleep at night and feel comfortable knowing like this is the rate I'm trying to achieve. This is the like societal purpose of why my money is going here, and I feel comfortable. And I'm not trying to just run around trying to get these extra returns that I really don't care about. Like I'm trying to enjoy my life as well. It's not all about money. Like money solves these problems, but it's not everything for me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, MSTR has, I mean, they've definitely set a new precedent in the Bitcoin, I mean, not just Bitcoin atmosphere, but in the financial atmosphere, because there's now so many companies that are like, holy shit, look at what this guy did. And I don't think every company is going to be able to do what they did. They might be able to do it at some extent, but I don't think a lot of companies can. I do think a lot of companies should put Bitcoin on their balance sheet and hold it very long term, but I don't think it's going to turn out too well, because if some companies do try to leverage like he has, he's done it in a very intelligent way. I don't think a lot of companies are as smart as him, and they're going to get over leveraged. They're going to stock, buy, 1,000 Bitcoin, 2,000 Bitcoin, and we hit a bear market, and they're going to have to liquidate because their leverage becomes due. Their debt is going to become due. And I think that will happen to a lot of companies. I mean, every cycle has its downturns. Every cycle has
No
something.
super cycle.
Yeah, well, that would be cool. I mean,
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping for the Trump super cycle. Like at least while he's in office, like I think I don't know his sons tell him or whatever, but he looks at that number, and if the numbers in his eyes are going up, I think a lot of people vote with their wallet. Like Jack Mallers, he's another big influence on me. But I think Saylor's like the Steve Jobs of Bitcoin. That's what I would say, and like Jack Mallers is like his nephew or whatever. But they're totally like right on with the direction they're going. And I think they're innovators in the space of how no one else saw how to do it. And they were the first ones to really because he got 21 Capital is trying to do the same mission. I think that's what it's called. But like they're definitely gonna reap the rewards. It's like I don't know if you ever studied game theory before. That was like a famous like thing in poker, being like playing game theory optimal GTO, like making sure all your moves make sense. And like they in Bitcoin, at least in my mind, is somewhat of a game theory where like if someone buys it, someone else is gonna have to buy it higher. So like the early adopters will always get rewarded, and they're leading the charge. They're paving the way, and they're taking all the risks of this, but they're also going to reap the rewards. So I'm just amazed at what they've done, and they're not even like I'm not investors. I use Strike, but I don't invest in any individual companies, and I just think like the knowledge they're putting out for people is really life changing and eye opening.
yeah, definitely, I completely agree. But no, so I want to get back to inflation.
Hmm.
Brought that up briefly, but I even posted it. I think was that today, this morning. I don't even remember. But it was something like, let's just set the target at 99%. Let's get it over with. It's gonna happen, right? I mean, inflation setting a goal at 2% is wild to me. I'm like, they're just telling you we're gonna steal your money slowly, and you're gonna be okay with it. And then they lie to you and say, hey, we're going to steal it actually a little quicker, but we're going to tell you it's 2%. I mean, inflation to me is like the number one thing right now, where if you aren't outperforming inflation, you're drowning. You're going to lose. And a lot of the younger generation, I don't think can handle that because of everything. It's already like too late for housing. I mean, what do you think?
I think inflation affects the class system the most, and the people that dictate the inflation policy are unelected bureaucrats. So, which is even tougher because we don't have a direct say on that. It's someone that they put in office. But I think when they press the button on the screen, or I don't know how they do it, but I saw this quote where it's like, we have an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. When they press that button on the screen and they shoot money in the economy, I think it makes the rich richer and the poor poorer. And to go to your point on like the younger crowd, I think we start out, a lot of us, we don't start out with the silver spoon. We have to kind of make our own little fund. And when we're starting out, these asset prices are just keep rising really fast and faster than the rate of, we would say, a lot of these salaries or people our age are getting paid. And so we're getting cut out on trying to accumulate some sort of good amount of wealth, I would say. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, that explanation, but that's kind of the way I see it, of like, if you already own something, it's just getting pumped up in price. So that's why we're doing well. But someone that's just trying to enter the market or whatever, they're like, oh wow, this is already crazy inflated. I might as well not even try. And that's when they look at the Bitcoin number and they go, oh, it's over 100,000. I'm not going to get rich on this. I need to get a $2 coin and that can multiply to 30 and then I'll get it. And they don't understand. It's all about market cap. Like market cap is how you value everything relative to each other. But regard to inflation, definitely feeling it. And I just think it makes the rich richer and the poor poorer.
Yeah, I hate the excuse, dude, that like Bitcoin's 100K and oh, I can't get a full coin. It's like, what do you want? They're like, oh, if I put $1,000 in and then it goes to 1 million, like I'm only gonna have X amount of dollars, and it's like, what? You just 10x or not? I'm sorry, yeah, you just 10x your money. Like, what are you talking about? That's a great return. Like, what other what other field could you possibly do that in?
By doing nothing too, by just buying and holding. That's the hardest part for any investor. And like people need to realize is it's doing nothing. Like you just sitting on it. That's the hardest part.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. It's simple, but it's not easy. I mean, especially if you stare at the charts all day, it's definitely not easy.
We stare at the charts all day. We're always looking at that number. I know you mentioned about like getting a whole coin on Instagram. I got the username whole_coiner. I'm private. I'm not trying to get any attention or follows on there. So, but I'm just saying, I'm just letting the world, the Twitter world know, or the X world know that I got that one. And I thought it'd be taken, but I think everybody should strive to be a whole coiner. I think whole coiner will mean a lot more than just fiat millionaire in the future. So I want to put that out there too. That's not a plug because I'm not trying to blow up that account.
No, no, you're good. I mean, I think honestly, if you can get to a full Bitcoin, I mean, back in the day, it used to be, it was always the talk, get to 6.15 Bitcoin. Or, I think that was the number that was like really floating around. It was like, get to that number and then you'll be set free. Well, Bitcoin's moving at quite a good pace. And most people, we get stuck in our bubble in Twitter. We're like, we're just in our own little perfect Bitcoin bubble. But as soon as you step outside, you realize that, okay, most people don't have $1,000 for an emergency fund. How in the hell are they going to be able to afford a full Bitcoin? It's just not going to happen. I mean, yes, you get the price you deserve, but the nice thing about Bitcoin is it's not inflationary, and Bitcoin will always go up. It's designed that way. And so as long as you find it at some point, you will be rewarded. It's just that the earlier you find it, the more you'll be rewarded. And I mean, it's kind of nice because you sound like the psycho for 5 years, 10 years of I've been holding this thing. You being in your 20s, being like, I'm full in on Bitcoin. I mean, do your friends like heckle you? Are they like, why you live off credit cards and you just hold all your money in Bitcoin?
That is a funny question. Of like, I don't know. I think my friends, some people are getting orange pilled. I tried to orange pill in my family too more, and they're not opened up. I would say I'm one of the only few of that are actually like all in on it. But I think they'll eventually get to it. They have to open up their eyes more or go down the rabbit hole. I don't know because I've tried everything like of just posting and showing them my gains and everything, and especially last year before the Trump pump, before the Trump election, I was like telling everybody I knew we were gonna go like to 100,000 because we hit peak like in 2021 and we were trading way below what the 2021 peak was, and I was like, this is guaranteed money. Like everybody just YOLO everything you have in there, and most people, like you said, they don't have the money to YOLO in there, so they can't just go and buy like a full coin or do different things. But I do think there is value though in still at least getting some and then working towards that goal of whatever you want to get to, because it's getting rich is not an overnight thing, and if it is, then you're probably in the wrong industry, or you might see the cop show up at your door for some pump and dump. So I don't know. I know you wanted to talk about inflation, but is it cool to talk about like the high yield savings account too? Difference
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah. Tell
So
me, because Yeah, yeah. Because you said you're a CPA, and
Yeah, I am a CPA.
okay, because I don't even have a high yield savings. Like I just don't. I literally keep like the bare minimum in my savings account, and I mean, yeah,
Yeah, there's just a lot of people out there and they don't understand the money in their bank. Either they just hold it and they're getting 0.01% interest, or they go, I heard from my boomer parents or whatever that no offense to boomers, but oh, I need to get a certificate deposit or I need to get a high yield savings account because you'll get like 3.5% and you get your little rate. But I honestly think Gen Z is looking the other way, and we're at least me, and I'm leading the charge on that and telling other people, and people are seeing it that you don't need to go to, I'm not going to call out any companies because I don't want any trouble, but like any of these big financial institutions that will like give you a certain little rate and you keep your little savings fund in there. You don't need to keep that in these. Like the 3.5%, you're losing money. And instead, you can just hold it in your BTC fund. And people think, oh, it's too volatile. It's going to go down 80% the next day. Well, I don't think it will, but my like reasoning or like safety net people I would say for people is like just get at least like hold point one of a Bitcoin in there if you can, or get that amount and then have that as your cushion. And you don't need to have a high yield savings account paying you 3.5% interest to cover your expenses. You always know you'll be good at least for a little bit of period if you just have point one just sitting there in your little savings or your made up savings account. And I think that that's what's great because you can always be debanked by something you say or something you do, and you'll never have to worry about someone trying to take you out or someone trying to make you financially dependent. You can become financially independent this way. So I just think that's a new concept and it's being pushed around online a lot. But I think a lot of people, they're too ingrained on certificate deposits and high yield savings accounts. They need to open up their eyes to the new wave of finance that's here at our door, and it's presenting an opportunity for everybody.
yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, because that ties in, your typical bank account that most people have right now is you're earning 0.01% on the money sitting in the bank, which we all know is not your money. Your money is not sitting in the bank physically. They don't have it. Fractional reserve banking, look it up. They lend it out. And so they don't have your money. You're earning nothing. They're lending out your money for 7% interest. So someone can go start a business, someone can go buy a house, someone can do this, whatever. So they get that money and they take the spread. And now in your high yield saving, they make it sound enticing because here's 4%. Here's 4% on your money and you get that per year. But overall, you're losing that purchasing power because we all know inflation is higher than that and it will continue to be high. And you're not going to compound faster than inflation. It's just look at what just happened the other day. Trump and they just invested they bought like 10% of Intel
Intel.
or something. Yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. I was trying to figure out how they got the shares, whether it was like they just granted them equity or if they actually gave them some sort of payment for them. I didn't read that far into it. I just saw the 10% mark.
Yeah. I think that's really messed up. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, the government's going to start investing and they're going to buy Bitcoin. I don't know if that's a good thing, man. That kind of worries me. I don't want
Of
to
the
keep.
SB.
Yeah, yeah, the SBR.
I was the front runner. I was like cheering for that like crazy as part of the news. But I asked Grok or someone asked Grok of like what's the percentage it's going to get passed, like probability, and they said it's like 20% or lower. So I don't know if nation states will all hop in like publicly or secretly, but at this point I don't think we need them like in the community. I used to think, oh, we need them, but I think with the institutions and the ETFs and uh companies getting more like adding to their balance sheet and investors being like, oh, my 401k now offers this option to get exposure, I think that's what will create the stability that we're looking for, when in reality we were hoping for it from this SBR. But I think the executive order is enough from Trump of holding it. But I hope the next president doesn't come in and all of a sudden just untangle it and sell it all like Germany did. I don't know if you remember that Germany did last year at this time. They lost a lot if they would have just sold 1 year later.
Yeah, they sold out like 50 or 60K or something. What noobs.
Yeah, that I don't know, that part was like, what the heck? And I saw another bullet point I want to touch on from your list of, is Bitcoin too risky for older generations at this point? I think that's a good question because I tried to orange pill some of my older family members, and some of them, if their lifestyle's set, they don't want to deal with anything. Their money's covered. I see the case of them saying, you know what, I don't need to deal with this. It's not my thing. But I think most people that have a little bit of a longer time preference, I think they need to dip their toes in, whether it's a small percentage allocation or all in. I think most people start out where they hear the experts, oh, I'm going to give myself a 1 to 2%. And then they slowly increase it to a 10. And then all of a sudden they start watching lectures and then talking to people about it and learning the economics. And then they go all in like me and you per se. But it just takes time.
Yeah, no, the older generation's tricky. I really tried hard with my dad. I got him in, and the price of Bitcoin was around 9K or something. And he aped in. I don't remember how many he bought, doesn't matter. But he thought he was smart enough to trade it. He's like, I'm gonna get more money, I'm gonna bank, I'm gonna retire off this. He ended up losing a lot. And so now I think he still has like a decent amount, but he doesn't understand the concept of it. And the older generation is tough though, because if you're wealthy enough to retire, they don't want to risk their money because they've known the US dollar their whole life. They are now 60, around 60 to 65. They're retiring. And they don't want to risk their retirement fund if we have a 4-year, 3-year bear market. That can scare the shit out of them. And so I get it. But at the same time, if you want to preserve wealth for your family, for your children, your grandchildren, why not own some? Because
Yes, for the grandchildren especially. That's what I make the joke about. Like, this is for my grandchildren. And when I used to call myself the BTC king, I was looking for the BTC queen out there. If she's out there listening, feel free to shoot me a DM and we can merge our Bitcoin empires. But for the grandchildren, especially, I think like I've seen people online like, oh, I'm going to give my son this much in a little wallet right when he's born, and then he's going to hold it and we're not going to sell it for a long time. And I think that generation will be very grateful for the movements that we make now and the choices that we do now.
oh, definitely. I mean, Bitcoin's always referenced as, you're buying real estate in downtown Manhattan in like 1960. You see that float around, and it's true. It's true. If you're
I
buying,
love that analogy. I love that analogy.
yeah, same. It's great because it puts it in your head like, dude, if I can get to point 0.1 Bitcoin, that can be worth a penthouse. That can be worth whatever. I mean, take your number and you hold it long enough, it will be worth that. And that's only about $11,000 right now, which is kind of cool. So I do think, sorry, we got off track from your older generation, but the older generation do struggle with it because of that reason. For the younger generation, if they can get into it and just $20 a month, DCA doesn't have to be a large amount. I mean, there's no point in trying to find the next best stock. You don't need to find some high yield savings account. And also this is not financial advice.
Yeah, NFA.
You don't need to go try and find some place that's going to double your money over the next 20 years if it sits in this account. Like, just buy Bitcoin and hold it. There's nothing
And
more simple.
another thing on top of that, like when you do make your investments in people, I think a really important thing is conviction in it. And the way you have conviction, at least I've built it up, is by studying and learning more. And one of the things I have to remind myself is like, what took out the taxis? It was the Uber system, that type of thing. And what took out the hotels was Airbnb. And it's like, those are all solving problems. And in this case, what took out or what's replacing the banks or providing alternative service, and that's Bitcoin. And so if you remind yourself the problem that's being solved, you'll have a lot more conviction and you understand what you're actually investing for, as opposed to what I remember Michelle's favorite line, number go up. It's not solely because of that. It's the problems we're solving. And I always remind myself down in the altcoins when those do pump, it's like they may be solving problems, but they're solving different problems. I think the Ethereum one or all these other ones, they're trying to build these big ecosystems on their chain and tokenize things. And that's not the problem that Bitcoin's solving. Bitcoin's solving just the fiat standard problem, the fiat slavery problem, as I like to call it. But it's just different. I know that got off topic of the older generations, but I wanted to make sure I got that in too on here.
Yeah. No, that's fine. No, I mean, I really do think that like education for younger generations is going to be one of the most important things because they're not going to learn it in school. We all know schools have gone downhill over the past 50 years, 60 years.
Especially the public ones.
Yeah, they continue to go down. I mean, they're going downhill faster than ever. They're becoming more woke. Sorry if someone's listening to this and you're woke, but you're wrong. So also,
Wake up.
yeah. And so I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. The school system is not going to teach you how to preserve your wealth. They teach you to get in line, go to your job, do what you're told, sit down, shut up. And so luckily there are
And collect your fiat.
exactly collect your paycheck, pay your rent, pay 30% if you're lucky to the government, and then you get to vote. That's what you get to do. You get to vote like once every 4 years. Congratulations. And one of these days, Bitcoiners will be in the political atmosphere. It's happening slowly. Just having the president say the words Bitcoin has
That
been
was huge.
pretty
That
much
was huge because we finally got a voice. I don't think we had a voice like that before. Even if he doesn't believe it or not. Like I did not like Trump coin or Melania coin or any of that. That was so scammy.
that was wrecked, dude. When he did that, I was so disappointed. I was like, man, that just when
Losing credibility.
sits there and says we're going to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, and then literally a week later launches a Trump coin and pumps and dumps it, and then has a dinner for the people that hold the most Trump coin. I was like, okay, we're getting there. We're getting there, but we're not even close. And one day we'll have a seat at the table. One day, Bitcoiners will control 50% or more of the political atmosphere. And that day, I think, is coming sooner than we think because Bitcoiners have to change something. And you can only do so much as an individual person. So, people have to get involved. And I love that there are people out there trying to talk to Congress. They go out and they're writing books. They hand them out to congressmen for free. Do those congressmen read them? Probably not. They usually have their assistant read them and like tell me about it. They don't give a shit. They still get their paycheck. They're close to the money printer. So it's a shame, but I think we are turning a corner in it.
I think so too. I think it'll eventually come when the newer generations make their way into office and they see the dollar is not what we are believed it to be, at least growing up. But I think Cynthia Loomis, I might be pronouncing her name wrong. She's a great one for our movement, our movement, just for the Bitcoin movement. And I'm trying to think of any other ones. I saw Elon gave some mentionings in his new party that he would create, but he didn't do much further into that. But like I think that's how they're going to get a lot of new voters. A lot of people vote with their pockets. So I think people are going to see that if you talk about it, you're going to get a lot of attention and a lot of new voices. I think this last election had a lot of people that didn't vote previously, but they did for this one because their interests were called out. And whether they will be fully delivered on by the administration still is still being evaluated, at least in my mind. Like I know they did it early on, the first 100 or 200 days. They got the strategic Bitcoin reserve and they're creating this framework, but I still think they have a lot more to do.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's going to be a long road. Once younger generations do start getting in, what's the average age of the average congressman? Isn't it like 60 something plus years old? I'm pretty sure like most of Congress they should be sitting on a beach or in a retirement home. So,
And term limits too. I think there's no term limits, or I'm not too familiar with that stuff. Not trying to get super political, but that's how they stay there forever.
oh, it's absurd. And things will change because we Bitcoiners are not about to let this, let it the world around them get destroyed. And I think that's really cool is that Bitcoiners do come together, even though it might just be on X for a lot of people, but they do come together and it is a movement. And I think that Trump winning, I mean, he went to the Bitcoin conference and spoke. Like that eventually, even if we were just 5% of the voters, I mean, that percentage is going to grow. They're going to have to address it because all they keep doing is screwing Americans over. They're screwing us more and more and more and telling you it's okay. And people are, they understand that something's wrong, but most Americans don't know what it is because they don't understand how money works. And I think that's a big education thing that I love that Bitcoin kind of shoves it in your face. You have to learn about money. Otherwise, you'll never understand Bitcoin. And once you understand that, then the rabbit hole never ends. I mean,
Going back to your point really quick
yeah,
on inflation. Inflation is the hidden tax. I know you and BTC bro talked about it a little bit, but you know me as an accountant, I'm all on the taxes. I've been just thinking about taxes my whole life, and like obviously we pay sales taxes, income tax, but the true tax is the inflation that the government has on us, and we're not able to see it, but it's viewed in our purchasing power, and they'll never come out with the metric, or they do come out with their metrics, but that's what's really taken away. Like say they print it and then they collect it through us through taxes, but when they're printing it and they print even more, then what we have is worthless, and that's basically taxing our dollars to make them worth less. So that's just another point I want to hammer out there for people that are on the fence about Bitcoin, or they're thinking like, how am I solving these problems, or what am I trying to achieve? And you're really trying to beat out that tax of or the hidden tax of inflation. And yes, you lose money on the spread when you buy and sell your stack each time, but I truly think the gains that you'll have and the power of knowing that your money is yours and it's working for you for this decentralized network is what will overcome the fees you have to pay if you're doing buying and selling on your spread of your stack compared to like a high yield savings account. So that was like another little lecture. Sorry, it took a little bit to get that one out, but
no, I mean, it's true though. And I agree with that. And I hope one of these days more people will become more like you. You know, the Bitcoin Maxi. I hold pretty much 100% of my net worth in Bitcoin. You live off debt, credit cards. And if just don't be an idiot and let those credit cards rack up because then you will you're screwed. But if you can do that, you will outpace any index fund, any ETF. You'll outpace everything.
and you don't have to worry about logging into your Schwab, your Fidelity, or per se. You're like, you know what? It's already because I automatically just buy everything or like on my paychecks. It's already invested, so that saves you time too. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Just get it straight into Bitcoin. It's great. I mean, I still do that. I mean, we get our paychecks, my wife and I, we get our paycheck and then we buy pretty much everything in Bitcoin. We don't live off the credit yet. We are not full Bitcoin maxi. So I don't.
It's because you have more of a life. I feel like I have more opportunity to take a risk. You're more settled in, and I'm just like throwing all my chips in the middle of the table, and it's been working well. But you know,
Yeah. No, I mean, everyone has a different, your different life. But eventually you're going to have to do something because you can't just sit in cash. It's just impossible.
and so many people do. That's why it will eventually like people are gonna make their way, and it's. I think there's a famous sailor quote of saying like Bitcoin is gonna eat up everything. It's gonna eat up like it just slowly day by day with the inflows. It's gonna keep eating up everything, and it's gonna eat up all the cash. And maybe 100 years from now, people don't. I don't want your cash. Like you can send me Bitcoin only, and I'm hoping that will be the future. But that will take a long time towards adoption. And it's like the iPhones. You know, when the first iPhones came out or whatever, they're looking really just old, and now we have all these touch things on it and you can send money easily, and I think it's the technology is going to keep outpacing like what we can even think in our mind, and it's going to be so much easier to send payments, especially in the lightning network. I think they're going to build that one out more.
Yeah, yeah. No, it'll continue to grow. I mean, some of the smartest people in the world work on solving these problems for Bitcoin. It's not because it's some Ponzi scheme or some, you know, pyramid scheme, whatever you want to call it. It's a real thing. It's real money, and they're building on it. It will continue to get better. I think one of the best things that is going to improve is lending against your Bitcoin. That way you never have to sell. I can't wait for that because I never want to sell my stack. And if I can eventually have a good platform where I can receive dollars tax free because it's debt, and I can use part of my Bitcoin as collateral and I can live off that debt just fine. I'm excited for those types of things to come along.
That's what most billionaires do already right now, especially like really rich CEOs. I think that's what Elon Musk does, that sort of model where you have all these shares in a company, but your case is Bitcoin, and then you can lend against it to pay for your lifestyle and pay for your life, and you don't have to liquidate what you actually have and trigger taxable transactions, and also just lose, or in your mind, like lose your coin number. The coin number is so important, at least to the maxis.
It is. It's so important. And I think it's fun. It's almost like I gamify it to myself. It's like a goal. I'm like, dude, I need to get an extra point one, this year or this in 6 months and then when you hit that goal, it's like a mini celebration for yourself. And I think that's awesome because then you have something to look forward to in the bear markets. Bear markets can get lonely out there. I mean, if
Yeah, the noise quiets out. I remember you said on one of your podcasts previously, you're saying like, oh, the number of Bitcoin podcasts went down during the bear market, and then the number came back up when there was the bull market.
yeah,
That's like the true believers and OGs. They're paying attention when no one else isn't, and that's when it's the best time to buy, or at least it felt like.
yeah, when other people are in fear, isn't that Warren Buffett's quote? When there's fear is when you buy, and when people are celebrating and they're in euphoria, that's when you sell. And because all the dumb people are coming in, I mean, that's exactly what it is. And the time to build in the Bitcoin atmosphere is in bear markets. You want to be building yourself. You want to be earning as much money as possible. That's what I have focused on, is you try to earn as much money as possible in bear markets, and you invest as much money as you can, because you will be rewarded. And even though the number is very high right now, we're still so early. You mentioned like 30 minutes ago how real estate and things like that, everything will come into the Bitcoin atmosphere, whether it's in 100 years. I think it will happen a lot sooner than 100 years, and people will be living on a Bitcoin standard sooner than that. But even though the number's high, we're still early. That's the other meme, 21 slash infinity. There's 21 million coins. The amount of money that those 21 million coins are worth has no top. It can go up for forever, Laura. That's what it is.
That's what I want for my next tattoo. I mean, I'm on the fence about it, but I was thinking about like getting the infinity divided by just as a reminder. I think that we just had August 21st too, that like special day recently. That's like you got Bitcoin Pizza Day, and then we got August 21st. I don't know what else we have, but I think that's so powerful. And once you just envision that, like if someone would have pointed that out to me when I was just gambling Bitcoin money in 2017, it would have just changed the way I looked at it. But that's part of the education, is like just realizing those little things, and it really cements it in your mind of like, oh, there's actually something behind this. It's not just money to use to buy stuff, or it's not just a Ponzi in some people's eyes, because a lot of people, they look at the screen, they're like, I'm seeing numbers, but I don't see it in real life, but I'm seeing the stock and I see it in real life, so that must mean it's not real. And I just think like Gen Z, we were the first people with like iPhones and that type of tech, and everything digital makes sense to me. You can't cross borders without, I think $10,000 is the limit. And like with Bitcoin, I saw a graphic online. It's like, oh, if I'm moving $2 billion of gold, I need this huge ship. And if I'm moving $2 billion of Bitcoin, I just have this little tiny thing I can move anywhere, or I just need my phrase. So it's like, it's really, it's just a cool technology, and I could talk about it forever. But I'm grateful for you having me on this podcast and this opportunity to give my voice out there. And I wanted to also call out, I was looking at my notes, Bitcoin therapist. I think his account, I love his account, but it's sometimes controversial, but I love the energy. It's like all caps. He's screaming like, don't sell, or who's buying, who's selling. But there are some just interesting things he's had in the past where he's talking about different companies. And I know some people got burned by those. I didn't, but just an interesting guy. So if he's listening, if he wants to connect, like I'm definitely down to connect with the Bitcoin therapist. It's Huddle, Florida, and the Bitcoin therapist. So there also needs to be like a Huddle, California, Huddle, Connecticut. I don't know if you thought about that. Like back in the Xbox days, there used to be like those clan tags where you would be in the same clan. So I don't know if you thought about that.
I'm pretty sure it's American Hodl that first, like, he got that movement going. I don't know if you know who American Hodl is, but
I've seen SF Huddle. I'm trying to think of a few other Huddles, but
American Hodl, he's an OG Bitcoiner. Give him a follow. He's cool. But he's the one that started the whole hodl movement, and a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon, including myself eventually. So it is what it is. There will be
And
more.
you weren't from Florida originally. You're from Colorado, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So you
So
got your freedom and your Bitcoin out in Florida. That's so cool. Like,
no, I
I
mean,
don't know.
so actually, to bring up another point, you were saying, moving gold and moving $10,000 worth of cash and a mixture of people vote with their money, but they also vote with their feet. And that's kind of what my wife and I did. Is we didn't want to be in Colorado anymore. So when we had the opportunity to leave, I'm sorry, but if politics in my home state start going downhill and all of a sudden they're restricting my movement, I want out of there. And more of that is going to happen around the world. And that's what's awesome about Bitcoin is if you hold your net worth in Bitcoin and the country you live in goes to shit, you can move with your feet and you don't have to worry about your bank account. You can either have it memorized or you can have it on a thumb drive. You can have it in a little cold card. You don't have to have this bank account and you don't have to report to anyone. For the FBI listening to this, I'm not going to report shit to you. That's what it is. I own my money and I don't care. And if I want to move, I'll move. And so eventually we landed in the amazing state of Florida, which is, I mean, it's been awesome. I love it. It's like,
Did you use your BTC stack to go for your house? That's kind of my plan right now is like my BTC stack will go towards some of it will go towards a house. And like I'm so scared of chopping it off because I know that like when I basically transfer that equity from my BTC stack to my house equity, it's gonna underperform it. And it's like taking away from my mission.
I mean, that's a pretty big controversial thing that you see floating around is houses are expensive. Interest rates are extremely high. So you can't afford a house. What would you rather do? Would you rather buy a house with US dollars, which goes down in value over time? Or would you rather hold your Bitcoin that goes up 50 to 60% on average per year? Why would you sell your Bitcoin to buy a house? That does not make
The math isn't mathing. The math isn't
no,
mathing for me either. That's why it's tough.
no, no, dude, don't do that.
You see all these people, they're like, oh, in 2021 or 2020, I traded it for this, and look what I could have had a bigger house now. Like right now, I drive a nice Mercedes, and I traded some for to get my car, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, I still got a nice one, but I could have got an even nicer one if I waited a year. And imagine that towards houses, you know? Like some of these people, they could have got an even bigger mansion if they didn't sell.
Yeah, I mean, I would never sell my Bitcoin for a house. Take the US dollar loan, let that money go down in value and hold your Bitcoin. And if you have to, lend against your Bitcoin and use dollars again. You don't want to have to liquidate your Bitcoin because the chances of you ever getting that amount of Bitcoin back become less and less as time goes on. The more adoption that happens, the higher the number, the less chances, unless somehow you get 100% raise per year, which I'm guessing, I'm sorry, you're not going to.
No, unless you leave jobs, you go to another one. Otherwise, you're not getting it internally.
Unless you create your own company, sell a product, make a shit ton of money, you're never going to get that Bitcoin back. So stack as hard as you can. I understand housing sucks, rent is insane, but I would never sell my stack for a house. I mean, okay, maybe if I was one of those dudes that has like 1,000 Bitcoin and I can sell 4 of them for a house, whoop de do. Okay, I'm still sitting fine. But if you're sitting there stacking just to try to get to a whole coin and you get to one and that one
And
coin,
then you get rid of it immediately for the house, and you're just you're shooting yourself in the foot.
exactly. Why would you want to wait until it gets to $500,000 and sell that for a house that you live in, you pay taxes on? In terms of Bitcoin, your house value goes down over time. It does not go up. You're selling the superior asset for a less superior asset at the end of the day. I know you live in it and you can't live in your Bitcoin, but you're still,
You can't drive your Bitcoin either. I've heard people say that quote.
you can't eat your Bitcoin. You can't have sex with your Bitcoin. It sucks, but you know what? It's the better fucking asset. And if you sell it, you'll never get it back.
And it will eat at you. I'm telling you, the people listening, like it will eat at you throughout the years. I've had a lot of ex-girlfriends, not a lot, but like some exes in the past, and they always know me as the Bitcoin guy. And I know when they check that price, they look at it years down the line, like, man, should have given him a second chance. So I'm still out here looking. Another plug for myself right there. And then one more plug too. I know we've talked a lot about financial advice, but just one more plug. This is not financial advice. Just us talking. Just two dudes talking.
Yeah, no, 100%. We don't give financial advice. This is entertainment purposes only. But dude, I usually like to ask, even though people hate it, I love it because I shit post about it all the time. Price action is absolutely, I mean, it's so fun. You don't have to give a number, you don't have to give a date. I'm just, what do you think about these cycles? You've only been in Bitcoin. This is kind of your first full cycle that you've been fully invested in. So where do you see this going forward? Like next 2 years, 6 years? I don't care. You don't even have to say a year. Just where do you see us going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. I remember Joel Hodelman. I know he gave his number prediction.
Yeah,
I would say going forward for us, I think of the biggest bet, which I'm making it, and I think a lot of people others should consider it, is Bitcoin meeting the market cap of gold. So whatever gold is on market cap, say it's 20 trillion. I think Bitcoin slowly over time, it could, I don't know if it'll be a huge pump in one day. I think it's very unlikely where to that, like extremely unlikely. But I think there will be a day in the future, maybe it's 10 years, maybe five. That's probably low end, but like more than 10, could be 20, could be 30. I don't know, but it's going, Bitcoin, digital gold will meet the same market cap as physical gold, and they will kind of go in parity, and maybe they'll go a little bit up, a little bit down within each other. But I think that's what society will allocate resources to. And if you do the math on that, that's definitely over $1 million a coin when they do meet each other in market cap. So that is my prediction that I'm willing to stand behind. I can't give, oh, it's going to go to 150 this year or 180. I think it could, but I'm just thinking of market caps. I'm thinking of asset valuations relative to each other, and the Bitcoin market cap will meet or exceed the gold market cap in the future. That is my bet.
awesome, dude. I love it. Thank you for that.
Really appreciate you, and like value the relationship we built on Twitter, and I'm always looking forward to your tweets. I think it's cool, and I support what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you.